Hey, what is up? How's it going? Hey, what is up? Hopefully this is just a black screen right here, if I'm not mistaken, because of like copyright purposes. I hope this is just a black screen because I'm not trying to show the entire episode here and get banned from YouTube. So I hope I can see this screen, but I don't think you guys can. And hopefully you will tell me the truth that you guys can't see what's on the screen right now. But hey, what's up? Trying a little bit different setup here with this review. Black screen, good, 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 good. As much as I'd like to show it, for copyright purposes, I cannot. So, but slightly different setup here with the stream. And yeah, getting right into it. Totally wrong on the prediction right there. I was looking up the definition of red herring in the dictionary, and it's something along the lines of a clue that's meant to distract or mislead. And man, did they done got old rando for any Archer fans out there. So totally got me. You know, the black. I think someone in my I forgot who commented it yesterday. It might have been the commenter Evan Berg, if I'm not mistaken. I apologize for that name. He did say the black and blue could just be a reference to the boxing ring and Howard Hamlin. And man, did they got me, man. I done fell for it. They done got old rando. So again, total misdirection here. Totally, misleading the fans of Breaking Bad, where, oh, look at this, black and blue is a total callback to Breaking Bad with the episode title. So, of course, this is going to be some sort of Breaking Bad, overlap happening right here. But nope, they got me. So, anyway, yep. I guess, well, silver lining here is we get to continue to speculate on when exactly those two characters will appear in season 6 of Better Call Saul. So, they did that ending good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll get into it for sure, Matthew, and yeah, I guess I'll come into it for sure. But yeah, so I hope you can see me in the corner up here. But yeah, the screen here is just for my notes here, so I can sort of see the episode, but I can't show it for copyright purposes. So yeah, Jason, at least Lalo showed up for sure. And yeah, Kool-Aid's kind of getting ahead of us here. But yeah, what a callback to season 4 of Better Call Saul at the end of this episode. Definitely did not see that coming. And to tell you the truth, I talked about this in some of my previous videos about how the Werner Ziegler sort of storyline in season 4, on the surface, it seemed kind of unnecessary and kind of like superfluous, in my opinion. And I was like, this doesn't really seem like it's going to be that consequential to the storyline of Better Call Saul, but it was very consequential to that season nonetheless. But man, what a absolute three. Is that lie upside down, Nick? Is that sort of what they were getting at us with the title of this episode? But yeah, what a total like full circle culmination here, where who would have thought we would have seen Werner's wife in season 6 of Better Call Saul? So Hef, to tell you the truth, yeah, you redacted that message there, but I saw it for sure, and I definitely had some mixed feelings about that boxing scene. Like I said, I talked about in my previous stream, you could have told me like I could have made like 1,000 different guesses of different plot details that would ensue over the course of season 6 of Better Call Saul, and that probably wouldn't make the top 1,000, to tell you the truth. So, but anyway, yeah, kind of getting into this episode here, I suppose. Initially, we have this cold opening scene, which hopefully I can see, but you can't, and we see this sort of scene of this. Again, I don't know exactly what this term is. Is it? I'm gonna butcher this term, but it's basically when you sort of store something in a sort of like silicone or plastic material. And anyway, I mean, I have no idea what the sort of science is behind this, but we see a sort of scientist putting what appeared to be this ruler into this sort of silicone, or is epoxy the right word? Again, I'm not an expert here, but again, I really hope I'm not showing the episode here, but I think at the very end of this scene, we finally see the payoff here with what is here written in this ruler right here that I can see. And I think it says "In Liebe, deinen Jungs." I think this translates to like "with love," like from the boys. So I definitely think this is a sort of like what the details that Marguerite Ziegler was saying to Lalo at the end of this episode about how they didn't attend Werner's funeral, but they did sort of send him sort of, these, what's the word I'm looking for here? Sentimental gifts. And who knows, maybe sort of Gus Fring was the sort of, kind of puppet master behind this right here, this gift of this slide ruler that they gave to Werner. And, maybe he just made it seem as though this was a very sentimental gift from his workers. But yeah, definitely didn't know what was going on here. Very ominous cold opening scene here for sure. Didn't know what the payoff was going to be. When I saw it wasn't a Breaking Bad flash forward scene, I knew my prediction was on life support for sure. But yeah, really sort of interesting scene here that sort of sets up the final payoff of Lalo Salamanca finally appearing at the end of this episode after a 3 episode absence. So yeah, it's a slide rule, Eddie. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. Definitely seemed very sentimental. Oh my goodness, Gary Mercado, great work on the streams, Anton. So now Jimmy and Kim have 2 groups surveilling them. This is crazy how this could. Yeah, absolutely. I talked about that on my stream yesterday, and I really appreciate the super chat, man. I really do. But I did talk about how a lot of people kind of speculated the story of maybe Howard Hamlin would take his own life, akin to Charles McGill. And I didn't really see that from Howard Hamlin, to tell you the truth. He definitely seemed like a person who would be smart enough to put 2 and 2 together and kind of see Jimmy McGill as the common denominator behind all the sort of, scams that Clifford Maine laid out for him later in this episode. So yeah, absolutely, kind of getting ahead here with the private eye that it appears that Howard hires for to surveil Jimmy and Kim after what happened at the in the middle of this episode. Sort of getting ahead of myself here, but yeah, really appreciate the super chat again. Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. You have Howard's PI surveilling them, and you also have Mike Ehrmantraut's men surveilling them as well, as a sort of more of a protection against Lalo Salamanca maybe coming after them. On the off chances Mike Ehrmantraut said in the previous episode. So relax and sleep. Yeah, you sort of knew Howard would put 2 and 2 together. Again, the prostitute was just sort of the cherry on top, where how could Howard Hamlin be so oblivious where he would miss that? Where, like he said, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but when he says to Jimmy, another prostitute, I mean, it's just too obvious. And also, it almost seemed like, like they didn't do a good job covering up their tracks, as Howard Hamlin said. I mean, it seems so obvious in hindsight, where Howard said, who are you meeting with when this happened? Kim Wexler. And of course, another sort of complete red flag here, totally. So just, yeah, you definitely saw Howard as being someone who was not just going to lay down and accept these baseless accusations. So again, yeah, I really appreciate the super chat, man. I really appreciate the support. But so again, getting into it here, the first scene of Act 1, we see, Kim Wexler and Jimmy McGill. It's 3:17 in the morning here. She's sort of unable to sleep. And initially, it definitely seemed like Jimmy, or AKA Saul, was able to sleep because he's sort of, blissfully ignorant to the whole fact that, Lalo Salamanca is actually, not dead. He's actually alive. And Kim Wexler doesn't reveal it to him in this episode, even though she could have. She still allows Saul to be blissfully ignorant of this belief in regards to Lalo Salamanca being amongst the living. But yeah, anyway, here we see the sort of fear that Kim sort of, exhibits here with putting the chair underneath the door that was teased to us prior to this episode. We then see her sort of smoking here in this scene, likely a sort of, how do you put it, maybe a coping mechanism to deal with her fear and her anxiety especially. This is then followed by them having this conversation where Kim lies here, sort of saying she's sort of telling a half-truth where she's saying she can't sleep, but it's more likely due to the fact that, she knows Lalo's still alive and she doesn't tell Jimmy this. So 3:17 is backwards is a lie. Yeah, I definitely think so. That definitely was not a coincidence that it was 3:17 a.m. when the scene happened. So, but anyway, yeah, kind of getting into it here with the dialogue. Again, it was just sort of very small talk conversation here, just sort of ruminating about, Lalo Salamanca. Kim doesn't tell Saul the truth of the matter. They sort of tell each other half-truths here. Jimmy says at the end of the scene, can I make you some coffee? And that pretty much sums up the first scene of Act 1. Again, pretty cool Act 1 here, where we kind of got to see 3 different unique scenes involving the major characters in this episode, where it jumped to from Jimmy and Kim to then, Gus Fring at Los Pollos Hermanos in the next scene of Act 1. Cat A, I agree. Her smoking reminds me of Skylar. Absolutely. Just dealing with the stress and anxiety from of life, using smoking as a crutch and a coping mechanism for sure. But anyway, following this, we then see Gus Fring at Los Pollos Hermanos. And again, I talked about this in the my previous stream, but we see Gus again even though he's there and working and playing the part of the manager of Los Pollos Hermanos, um, he he definitely is preoccupied with just the looming threat of Lalo Salamanca out there. And we even see him at the end of this scene. The scene kind of culminates to what appears to be his paranoia, I believe, where he walks out of the restaurant with this sort of very sort of stern, focused, tunnel vision look on his face, and we think that there's maybe a threat, but in hindsight, it really appears that this was just Gus Fring's paranoia here in this scene. And like I said, he's going through the motions here. Very interesting scene here in this scene where he's looking in the mirror behind his shirts and he's wearing the ankle holster still and the bulletproof vest, likely a foreshadowing to what happens with Gus Fring at the very end of this episode. But again, I talked about this in my previous stream. Gus Fring definitely playing the part, but over the course of this episode and over the course of the last two episodes since the death of Nacho Vargas, spoiler alerts, he's been very sort of just myopically focused on this looming threat. And Gus Fring is definitely a type of person who likes to be in absolute control of things. And when he's not in control and he's not able to have control over this one aspect of his life, you can definitely see the consequences of this exhibited in his actions over the course of these last two episodes, especially in this episode as well. So yeah, following this, getting into the comment by going back here by Gary Mercado. I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, but we then see a scene of Clifford Main, Howard Hamlin, and Aaron Brill at the Sandpiper CrossFit Assisted Living Facility, where we see them going over the class action lawsuits with a bunch of the plaintiffs, I believe. Again, I'm so bad with the legal terms, but anyway, the premise here of the scene, it appears that I guess the plaintiffs of the Sandpiper Crossing settlement are getting fed up and frustrated with the fact that this settlement is taking so long, sort of insinuating, some of us don't have lots and lots of time to wait around for the settlement to finish. Some of them even saying that their own family members have recommended that they get their own lawyers and they pursue litigation against Sandpiper Crossing individually as opposed to as a part of a class action lawsuit. Again, very interesting scene here where we see sort of Howard shaking his leg, and of course Clifford Main is observing this behavior. Excuse me. But of course, with the in the context of everything that Clifford Main has observed over the course of this season, again, someone shaking their leg, you would really think nothing of it. I mean, it's a very common sort of tick that people do. I mean, I wouldn't sort of ascribe certain personality traits or habits to someone shaking their leg necessarily, but again, with everything that Clifford Main has seen, we see him sort of take exception to this behavior. Again, great scene here where Howard Hamlin sort of comes in and saves the day as just the absolute A-plus salesman that he is in respect to being a lawyer. I mean, he absolutely charms over these plaintiffs, I guess, if that's the right word. I keep using it. I hope I'm not incorrect. Of the Sandpiper Crossing facility, he absolutely assuages all of their reservations about this. He just comes across as so personable, so trusting, so charming. And again, it is true. I mean, I don't think he's trying to take advantage of these people, but he is just trying to sort of instill in them a level of calm and just sort of telling them this is how this works and it's about doing what's right and we don't want to rush this process. And he's just being an absolute salesman, as I believe Jimmy alluded to in season 4 of Better Call Saul, when he sort of said Howard was a quote-unquote shitty lawyer but a great salesman. And again, and of course Howard took quite exception to that, but he's really sort of exemplifying that absolute sort of salesman he is as a lawyer. He's just unbelievable at just presenting himself, and it's as oh my goodness, I'm slipping on his name. As Mr. Kettleman, Craig Kettleman said, he just seems so professional and upbeat, and he's really sort of exemplifying that personality. So great scene here that, of course, sets up, sort of also, foreshadows what is to come with the Sandpiper Crossing component of the storyline with Jimmy and Kim, but it also sets up the final confrontation between Howard Hamlin and Clifford Main in the Sandpiper Crossing parking lot at the end of the scene. Benito C, AMC Plus put the episode so late. Yeah, that really stinks. I definitely know that HBO Max, sometimes when there's live shows that they put on there, they sometimes put them on really late as well. Again, that's one of the downsides of these streaming services. I apologize, that stinks. So, hey, Evan Berg, how's it going? Yeah, the tension is escalating so fast, I agree. Chekhov's underground tunnel. I like that, Suburban Catholic. That's funny. I agree. Hef, I agree. But anyway, yeah, I sort of talked about this already, this confrontation, but basically, Clifford Maine accuses Howard Hamlin of everything that he's seen over the course of this season. And, man, excuse me, I have a itch on my nose here. But yeah, so I kind of talked about this already, but basically he just accuses him of everything. Howard Hamlin's saying, how am I supposed to respond to all of this? This is absolute baseless accusations here. This is not true. And of course, like I talked about earlier in the stream, he totally put two and two together that Jimmy was behind all of this when he asked him, who are you meeting with, when his car allegedly sped by the restaurant and pushed a woman out of the car. We then see, Howard, like I said, put two and two together and call his secretary and say cancel his whole week, implying that he's going to deal with Jimmy following this revelation by Clifford Maine. Clifford Maine, of course, still thinking that he actually has an actual problem, thinking that all these things are true with the cocaine use allegedly and the solicitation and everything along those lines. But of course, Howard Hamlin, completely knowing these are false accusations, and he sort of really steps up here and goes into, I guess counter mode here, where he's really going to try to counter Jimmy and Kim and their scheme against him. So really great piece of setup here, and really exemplifying to us, which I definitely thought was true, how Howard Hamlin was not just going to lay down and die here, metaphorically speaking, and accept these accusations and accept this character assassination by any stretch of the imagination. So really great first act here for sure of season 6, episode 5, Black and Blue. David Fox, it definitely was sort of 2 plot development episodes in a row for sure. Again, they sort of kind of gave it away in that at the with their post here when you kind of put 2 and 2 together with the Lalo Salamanca. I mean, that was quite the conclusion here. Basically, the more or less the entire final act almost was, well, not quite, but almost the entire final act was devoted to the storyline of Gus and Lalo, the sort of cat and mouse game between those two. So Brian C. Yeah, again, I would have to say I was not expecting it to be another setup episode like this for sure. It definitely was another setup episode for sure. I'll sort of get into the my thoughts on the final scenes that occurred at the end of this episode for sure. But yeah, just finished Act 1 here, and yeah, gonna get into Act 2. So I appreciate it, Kate Valentine. I really do. So then, following this, we then start Act 2 with the scene that was teased to us prior to the premiere of this episode, or the very first day and the very first iteration of the law offices of Saul Goodman and Associates. Again, Evan Berg, thank you so much, man. Your extensive knowledge of the entire Breaking Bad universe is impressive. Keep up the good work, dude. You're too kind, man. You're too kind. I've definitely seen this show a lot of times, and extensive knowledge. You're very kind with those words, man. I'm humbled by that. I really appreciate it, man. I really do. But yeah, again, really I love that emoji, man. Keep that emoji coming. I absolutely love it. So anyway, yeah. So I don't want to get bogged down too much because I discussed this scene in more detail in a previous video. But again, we see the yeah, Jojo. Are there 2 more episodes after this before the break? Yep, 2 more episodes until the halfway break, and then we get 6 weeks off until part 2 starts. So. Again, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? The trailer for the next episode, Mike, at least the one they showed on TV, that was something right there. That really got me sort of intrigued for the next episode, and I really hope the pace is like maybe a little bit faster than this episode. It's weird. I mean, the pace is not slow by any means. A lot of progress is made, and we don't get bogged down in a lot of conversational details that happens over the course of this episode, but it definitely was a setup. There wasn't a ton of action here, and not as much as I thought there would be for sure. So, yeah, JoJo ASMR. Yeah, it's on the TV copy. So if you DVR'd it, it's there for sure. I'm not sure. Again, the one they post like on the next episode of, it's definitely only a snippet of it. It's not the full teaser. At least that's what I've seen the last few weeks. But there's a lot of great scenes here. I can't show it here, but I can definitely talk about the scenes that are displayed here for sure. So at the end of this review, but. Anyway, getting into the scene here of the first scene of Act 1 with Francesca. Again, I talked about it in the video that was released prior to this episode, but after sort of this spiel here by Saul Goodman, we see Francesca initially say, "Yeah, I will, Jojo, I will. I'll get to that at the end. I'll get to it for sure." But like I said, we see Francesca initially reject the offer here, saying, I'm not going to work here. This is ridiculous. More, I'm sort of editorializing. That's what she says. But very interesting to see sort of Saul have to basically bribe her here with the sort of signing bonus to work here. You know, basically saying, why me, how, you know, he trusts her, and basically making good on that promise where if he ever had another office, she would be his first phone call. So kind of interesting to see Francesca take the bribe here, definitely foreshadowing where her character is going to go at the end of, as this, where she goes when we first see her in the plot of Breaking Bad, where she's, blackmailing Walter White to, for that plate of glass, the information to, where she insinuates that it would cost $20,000 to replace a plate of glass. Absolute great scene there in season 4 of Breaking Bad for sure. Can't do it justice describing it here. But anyway, following Francesca's initial reservations and the bribe, essentially, she then works for Saul Goodman, and the office opens. That's pretty much the setup scene here in Act 1. Or, excuse me, the first scene in Act 2. In the very first scene in Act 2, that's the setup here. Then following this, we see, I believe, Kim meeting with Viola. I believe she was the paralegal. Again, don't quote me on that. I forgot exactly what her role was there. She might have been Kim's paralegal at Schweigart and Coakley. I'm not 100% sure, but they take a meeting here where Kim sort of apologizes for leaving Schweigart and Coakley very abruptly at the end of Season 5 of Better Call Saul. And I definitely think they are truly friends here and truly colleagues, but, Kim, again, kind of took this meeting on false pretenses like she did with Clifford Maine, as it was revealed to us later in this episode, where she really just wanted the name, I believe, of the judge who was going to preside over the Sandpiper Crossing settlement, because she knows that Viola got transferred at Schweigart from Mesa Verde to, Sandpiper Crossing. So again, she kind of took the meeting here under false pretenses, sort of trying to get the information out of her subtly and not so obviously, sort of manipulating her here. Again, we see sort of Kim, taking over and assuming that Saul Goodman persona, very Saul Goodman-esque sort of, I wouldn't say scam, but just sort of manipulation here for sure. Viola says that she really admires what Kim did, just leaving so much behind at Schweigart and Coakley, where she was a partner, or at least on the partner track, to help the little guy. She said, the people who really couldn't help themselves, and Kim's saying she's just getting started. So that basically sums up the scene here, the second scene in Act 2, and then following this, if I'm not mistaken, the final scene, in Act 2, the boxing rink scene. I mean, I did not see this coming. I mean, I did see it coming, sort of, because it was teased to us prior to this season, but honestly, I don't really know what to think of this scene right here, this boxing rink scene. I mean, a little bit sort of, I don't even know, just unexpected, to tell you the truth, where Howard sort of confronts Jimmy here. And again, maybe the premise of having this boxing match was to sort of get Jimmy's guard down, where it made it look as though Howard just wanted to beat the shit out of him and then just sort of get it out of his system. But of course, here we see that this is sort of a setup to Howard Hamlin's PI following Jimmy after this boxing ring scene. So again, very interesting scene here where Saul sort of just insinuates, you just want to have a legal way to beat the crap out of me. And we see this boxing ring scene here. Excuse me, I'm not too well versed in the terminology. Peter John Lerm, that's absolutely right. That was confirmed to us in the last episode when we saw that setup for the first time. But yeah, so anyway, in this boxing ring scene, again, I can't do it justice describing it. I'm not even going to attempt to do it. But again, like I talked about, it may have been just to try to get Jimmy's guard down from Howard's point of view. But we see sort of Howard get the best of Jimmy here, which also displays to us the meaning behind the title of Black and Blue, a total red herring in hindsight in respect to the Breaking Bad reference of Negro y Azul. So yeah, very interesting scene here where we basically see Jimmy get the crap beaten out of him by Howard, and then it's revealed to us after this that Howard Hamlin has apparently hired a private investigator to follow Jimmy at the end of the scene, which he does after Jimmy leaves the boxing ring. So very interesting scene to culminate Act 2 here. Definitely did not see it coming whatsoever. Oh my goodness, T Bear S. I'm not sure who know. I'm not exactly sure the when exactly that episode happened for Bob Odenkirk. So not to make light of it by any stretch of the imagination, but you do wonder, what sort of a scene he was filming or had just filmed or was about to film when that episode happened. But definitely glad he made it in the end. So pretty scary stuff for sure. That's a very interesting point. Relax and sleep. Mike's guys noticing Howard's guys. You do wonder if that confrontation will ensue. That's a really great point for sure. Definitely something to look forward to here. But this end of Act 2 here really sort of displaying to us that Howard was not just going to lay down. He was really going to fight back, literally and figuratively speaking, against these baseless accusations that Jimmy was trying to level against him. Again, it's not really sure if it's revealed to us that Howard knows exactly what Jimmy is trying to do. I don't think he does. It almost, again, we don't know for sure because it wasn't outwardly revealed to us. Whether or not Howard knows, I don't think he knows, but again, it is kind of interesting here where whether or not he actually believes that, Jimmy was just messing with him and it was continuing to mess with him like he did in season 5 without as much as the bowling balls and the prostitutes to the business lunch in season 5. That was more just cynicism and nihilism here. It wasn't part of a grander plan, but everything that's happened this season was a part of more of a grand plan. So we don't know whether or not Howard Hamlin knows that at this point in time, but definitely food for thought heading into the next episode for sure with this PI that he appeared to hire. So Peter John Lerham, yeah, the absolute sort of tendencies of a psychopath, right? I mean, didn't they do a whole documentary on what's his name, that guy, who was also the who's that guy? Was it Ted Bundy? There was that Netflix series. Wasn't he just like that? He was incredibly charming and personable, and he was able to lure his victims that way. So pretty standard affair as far as I'm concerned, as a result of when it comes to people acting in that manner. So, but yeah, pretty ironic, I would say, for sure. Great point here. Maximum rock and roll, the black pants and the blue shirt. Yep, absolute red herring for sure. So, yeah, absolutely. Yep, he was wearing that outfit. Another sort of alluding to of the title for sure. Maximum rock and roll. Benedict Jones. Yep, it was Werner's widow for sure. Absolutely. Again, Shane's Trains 57. Again, they will upload a teaser, but again, they never upload the television teaser. It's always a condensed version of it. So I'll get to it at the very end of this review for sure. But anyway, following this, Act 1, Scene 1, Act 3 then picks up with Kim smoking on the balcony at her apartment. It's then revealed to us that Saul comes home, being, with the busted up face after his boxing match with Howard. Again, Kim doesn't seem too fazed by it, almost kind of joking, saying you have a sort of, did you say like a commercial opportunity here or advertising opportunity or something to that effect where I'm Saul Goodman, I'll fight for you. I'll literally take a punch to the face in respect to, defending you. So she kind of wasn't too fazed by this, confrontation between him and Howard in this scene here. We do see again the premise of her meeting with Viola, of course, where it was mostly just to get the name of the judge who was going to preside over the Sandpiper, who was going to preside over the Sandpiper crossing class action lawsuit, sort of taking that meeting under false pretenses. Again, we then see Jimmy and Kim lying in bed about to go to sleep after this, where Jimmy then sort of says he was a sort of schmuck here, where he played right into Howard's hand. He could have just walked away and left him standing there like a schmuck. But Kim said something. I'll have to go back and watch this, but she said something along the lines of "You stayed because you know what happens next" or something to that effect. Again, I'll have to sort of go back to that for sure and what she meant there. But that pretty much sums up the first scene in Act 3 here for sure. So then, following this, scene two, act three, then picks up with the surveillance house where of next to Gus Fring's house. We see, I believe, the character's name is Mrs. Ryman driving to her home. Of course, it's revealed to us that Mike Ehrmantraut is in the trunk of the car, sort of trying to be very clandestine in respect to him being there, not wanting the neighbors to see these people coming and going very mysteriously from this couple's house. Of course, it's then revealed to us that the surveillance of Gus Fring's house is being continued. Mike asking, I believe this character's name is Arthur, if I'm not mistaken, the person who was watching Kim, saying basically, still all quiet on the Western Front, basically, to use that analogy. And Gus basically, Mike then saying to him, where is Gus? And he sort of motions over to the room over. And of course, Gus Fring, totally occupied with the Lalo Salamanca threat, unable to sleep, sort of then cleaning the toilet, or excuse me, not the toilet, but cleaning the bathtub with a toothbrush here. Just getting very sort of with this fine tooth sort of toothbrush, getting every little sort of nook and cranny of this bathtub, cleaning it. It's almost as if he's overcompensating here, where he's not in control of his life in respect to the Lalo threat, so he is trying to, sort of be in micro control of all these sort of less consequential things. Again, I'm no psychologist here, or so don't quote me on any of that. But yeah, very interesting scene here to see Gus Fring again just totally consumed with this fear and just trying to, sort of compensate for it in any way he can here. So very sort of interesting scene here where we see him just cleaning the bathtub with this toothbrush so intensely. Really sort of interesting scene here, where Mike basically saying that we set up this whole operation for you so you could get some sleep. You are protected. You could go to your house and go to sleep. Nothing's going to happen to you. All these people are watching you. But again, this absolute paranoia that Gus Fring is exhibiting here, of this fear of where Lalo Salamanca may come from. And it's revealed to us at the next scene of Act 4, the fourth act and final act of this episode, where following this scene, Gus then tells to Mike, tell your men we're going out. And again, you did wonder if it was going to be revealed to us in this episode, and it was, which thus concludes Act 3 here in this episode. Richie MC, that is hilarious. Lyle would be proud of Gus's bathroom shower. It is acceptable. That is hilarious right there. Yeah, Joe Montalvo. Again, I apologize for that name, Montalvo. But anyway, Lalo is by far the smartest of the Salamancas. Yeah, I will get to that in this final scene here for sure. But so anyway, it's revealed to us in the first scene of the final act of this episode that where Mike and Gus went was the super lab. And again, we see them go down into the super lab behind the industrial washing machine, it appears. A callback to Breaking Bad with how, Jesse and Walt came and went when they worked in the super lab. But anyway, in this scene, we see Mike appearing to assuage Gus Fring's fears that maybe Lalo Salamanca would somehow come in via this tunnel here in the super lab. Mike basically saying it's closed on that side. Again, I'll have to go back and listen to the dialogue specifically, but basically just completely being assured that there's absolutely no way, it's physically impossible beyond the laws of physics that Lalo Salamanca could, somehow come in through this tunnel here to get, Gus Fring without his knowledge here. So Mike totally assuages that sort of fear that Gus Fring has. And then following this, we then see Mike say he'll go back up and sort of leave Gus to sort of look around the super lab here. And again, I wondered what the final payoff was going to be here in the scene, but it was revealed to us that it appears that Gus Fring took the gun out of his ankle holster. Yes, maximum rock and roll. I wonder how that plays out as well. He took the gun out of his ankle holster and left it inside the wheel of this. Again, I don't know what you call this machine here, like a backhoe. Maybe it's probably not a backhoe, but he left it in the wheel of this, maybe backhoe, this sort of machine meant for sort of industrial purposes here, where he leaves the gun. Again, I don't know the symbolism behind why he left the gun there. Was it because, he wanted to stash the gun there for some protective purposes or something to that opinion? Or is it possible that, he had finally sort of come to terms and was less fearful with this whole situation? Again, I'm not really sure for sure, so Adam was here. I mean, I hate to say this, but I tend to agree. I think this was my again, I hate to say it, because I love this show so much, but what you're saying, you're being pretty blunt, but I think there is something behind that. I mean, again, it was way more of a setup episode than I suspected. It definitely sort of really a lot of plot development here in respect to Jimmy and Kim. A lot of scenes to basically, display to us that they got the name of the judge and that Howard Hamlin sort of figured out the ruse here and that Gus Fring is very fearful. Again, a lot of setup here for sure. I hate to sort of denigrate this show in any way. I definitely enjoyed it. I mean, there's a lot here, but again, maybe my expectations were a little bit too high. I totally fell for the red herring with the title being Black and Blue, a callback to Negro Azul. So maybe I expected much more fanfare and pomp and circumstance in this episode, and that's why it comes across as a little bit underwhelming. But yeah, I was not expecting such a plot development episode for sure. Adam was here. Again, yeah, I mean, I don't want to mispronounce people's names, I mean, some of these people are being so nice as to, send super chats and things like that. The least I could do is pronounce their name correctly, Salvatore. So yeah, I do feel bad for saying the names wrong. Again, I'm really bad with pronunciations and things of that nature. So, but anyway, yeah, following Gus leaving that gun there, again, I kind of speculated on why he did that, what was the symbolism behind that. But anyway, following this, then the next scene and the final scenes in this episode then finally reveal the payoff. Finally, we see Lalo Salamanca in this episode after a 3 episode absence after his appearance in the first episode, Wine and Roses, where he's looking for the quote unquote let's just say proof. I'm going to butcher the Spanish word. But anyway, it's revealed to us here that we're in Germany just based on the dialogue. We see, people conversing in German, excuse me. And then it is revealed to us that this woman here sitting at this bar is none other than Werner Ziegler's the late Werner Ziegler's wife sitting at the bar here, who Lalo Salamanca was able to track down. But anyway, without getting bogged down in too much detail that ensues here, long story long, Lalo is able to figure out that this is Werner's wife. He comes across as incredibly charming here, and it just sort of, long story long here, the premise of the scene is basically for Lalo to figure out where she lives, I suppose. Again, there's so many questions here in respect to how in the heck was Lalo Salamanca able to get to Germany. It really reminds me back to season 5 of Breaking Bad in the episode entitled Granite State, where how in that, or was it Granite State? It was, or was it Granite State or was it Felina? I believe it was Felina, of how in the heck was Walter White able to get all the way back from New Hampshire from New Hampshire to Albuquerque with all the police surrounded by him. And I'm just thinking, how in the world was Lalo able to get to Germany after seemingly being on that a no-fly list with the with at least the DA's office realizing who he is. So a lot of questions here with how was he able to get to Germany? Where did he get this gun from? Aren't the gun laws incredibly tough in Europe? I definitely know. I don't know that many people in Germany, but I know people all throughout Europe, and they tell me it's impossible to get a gun there. Well, I know it's not impossible. I mean, legally it's impossible to get a gun. They're saying, they're being a little bit facetious there, but, again, a lot of questions here and a lot of mystery. In that sense, they did not get bogged down in a lot of plot detail here, but just very interesting. Well, those are the questions that I'm going to ask for sure heading into the next episode. But we see Lalo being very charming to this woman here who is Werner's wife, and it's revealed to us that I guess he wanted to try to figure out where she lived. She definitely wanted to invite him in to, do what consenting adults do, to put it lightly. But again, it seemed as though she really wanted to engage with Lalo Salamanca, but she was unable to because of, I think the emotions were still too raw with following the death of her husband. Again, during this conversation, we definitely heard Lalo probing her with, yeah, maybe not the best way to put it, but definitely like asking her a lot of questions in respect to, what she knew about Werner's work and what Werner was building, because Lalo knows Werner's connection to Gus Fring. Again, she knows very little here. There was not a lot of information to give outside of the fact that his workers didn't go to the funeral. Very sort of confusing to her with the story that she was told where he saved their lives, but they didn't go to the funeral. Again, Lalo looking for information here, but not able to get it. Of course, she basically saying she couldn't invite him in because, she still has feelings, I guess, for her late husband. And, Lalo saying he's leaving in the morning, of course, going by the fake name Ben here. And, of course, due to the fact that he's leaving in the morning, she's saying maybe in a different life we could have, been together or something to that effect. So, Yes, Hef, I do mean they were considering sexual intercourse. I guess I could be. We're all adults here, right? I guess I could be blunt. Maybe I'm being a little bit too. I'm being a little bit too PG rated for the ads. Maybe I'm selling out a bit too much. So, maximum rock and roll. I really appreciate it. I was worried for Marguerite, but luckily he didn't harm her and just wanted info. Definitely a tense moment. You do wonder if push came to shove, though, if he would have pulled that trigger. He had that silencer. He definitely seemed prepared to do what was necessary. He definitely seems like a person who will kill with impunity and just be absolutely, with his sociopathic tendencies for sure. I mean, he killed someone like, I'm going back to the death of Fred Whalen, where, he killed him with impunity and slept like a baby and thought nothing of it. And just an absolutely great scene here. Well, great in air quotes, just very telling scene of when he was in the court and he sees Fred Whalen's family sitting behind him and saying, "Who's that?" And Saul saying, "That's got to be the guy's family." And him saying, "Who?" Almost not even thinking about the fact that he killed someone. And this person has an entire life and an entire family and people who cared about him so much. And when it's revealed to him that this is Fred's family, he just says, "Oh, okay," and just very dismissive of it. So, I definitely think when push came to shove, he would have killed her for sure. I think that's what he was prepared for. But yeah, that was definitely some tense moment here. That was, something we definitely did not know for sure whether or not she would make it out of here, alive. But anyway, so following, again, really appreciate the super chat. I really do. I really appreciate the support. It was a tense moment for sure. But yeah, so getting into it. So after, he leaves and finds out where she lives, the next morning when she goes to work, Lalo then, was able to go back to her, I guess, condominium, I guess you would probably call this. I'm not really sure. And of course, he scales the fence. Lalo, quite the acrobat in respect to, I was thinking back to that when he jumped down into that ravine at the end in season 5 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Bad Choice Road, that jump that's become a meme. He scaled that fence with no problem at all. I definitely think that was a stunt double, like it was that with that jump. But anyway, we see him go into the house again. Does he use an actual key here? Again, I wasn't sure if he picked the lock or he somehow got Marguerite's key. Again, someone can cue me in on that for sure, but I wasn't really sure whether or not he was able to get the key or not. But anyway, yeah, again, not to get bogged down in too many details here in this final scene, but anyway, we see Lalo looking through the house, sort of looking for clues with what Werner could be working on. Again, we really don't see him able to obtain much information, but of course, amidst of his search, Marguerite comes back because she forgets her phone. Of course, the dog sort of gives it away here. Her I forgot what they called this dog, but the dog basically gives away that someone's in the house. We can see Marguerite sort of be very sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Sort of confused, or basically sort of is noticing the dog's odd behavior here, and definitely wonders if someone's in the house here. But the dog was a rat. Oh, the dog was Joe. Yeah, the dog ratted on Lalo. That is hilarious, Joe Montelevo. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Arena Vision. I definitely think he picked the lock. Little Bear. That's right, Richie MC. That's it. Little Bear. That's it for sure. But yeah, so we see Lalo look for things. We don't see him find anything concrete. When Marguerite comes back in, he takes out his gun with his silencer, definitely prepared to, kill this woman likely and, do it quietly so the neighbors won't hear because, of course, without a silencer, people would probably hear. And, of course, amidst this sort of standoff here, we see Lalo take a look at what was revealed to us at the very beginning of this episode, this slide ruler with this monogrammed, I believe, with this what's the English translation is with love from the boys. Again, maybe from the workers who worked for Werner. Of course, maybe it was sent on their behalf by Gus Fring, who sort of made it look as like he definitely coordinated everything and definitely said he couldn't go to their funeral, and definitely, of course, monetarily compensated her quite nicely, as he said to Mike Ehrmantraut following his death, following probably lots of gifts and lots of money in respect to his death at that funeral. So maybe, again, this seemed like to be very symbolic, and we see Lalo, again, I really just thought of this in my head. So again, it was funny when Lalo ordered that martini, when he said, martini bitte, I think, like a martini, please. I'm like, does Lalo really speak German here? I was about to say, are they going to make Lalo speak fluent German? But of course he didn't. He only understood, the very, very, a few words here. I mean, just had to order at a bar, and then, of course, he just spoke in English the rest of the time, posing as an American. But again, you do wonder if he's going to look up what this means. what was monogrammed here on the slide ruler, like from the boys, like who are these boys? And again, we heard Marguerite talk to Lalo about the fact that they didn't show up to this funeral as well. So I'm definitely starting to think that, because the case is sort of run cold here with Marguerite really having no information and with none of the sort of documents or any of his notes in respect to the construction work and the engineering that were given to her, it definitely looks like Lalo is going to be tracking down some of these workers in the next episode. That's what it definitely seems like to me, where he sneaks out the window at the end of the episode and Marguerite closes it, and that thus concludes this setup episode here of Black and Blue in season 6 of Better Call Saul. So I definitely think that was the premise of the slide ruler. Who are the boys here? Who are these people that the workers that Marguerite talked about, and also who gave him the slide ruler. So, I definitely think that Cam Cashman probing her. Yeah, definitely a double. Yeah, you know what? That was actually pretty damn perfect. With Black and Blue having a double meaning too, that was probably perfect as well. That probing her for information as opposed to probing her for something else. So not to roll around too much in the dirt here. But anyway, yeah, that pretty much sums up the episode here. And like I said, I will definitely talk about this teaser here. This teaser really intrigued me here for sure. Kai will spill. Yeah. Again, Rob B, that's a really great point. I remember a lot of people have said that on that phone call that Lalo had with Werner in the episode entitled Winter in season 4 of Better Call Saul, Werner said to him, Kai will know what to do. Of course, middle of his sentence, the phone was ripped out of his hand by Mike Ehrmantraut, and Lalo said to him, I didn't get that last part, but you would imagine that, Kai being the sort of ringleader, I guess, that's probably not the right term, but you definitely imagine Kai coming back into the fold here for sure, and Lalo going after Kai. So, dude, can you please talk about the teaser? All right, man, I'll get into it now. So, yeah, again, I'll break it down here for sure. Again, I can't play it for copyright purposes, obviously, and I hope to God this was a black screen here because I really don't want to get banned for showing this episode. So, but anyway, yes, Salvatore, I will talk about this teaser. I'll do my best. For sure. There were actually a lot of scenes here that were teased as well. So I really hope it's a black screen right now, right? We're doing the honor system here. I hope because I can't see it. I hope it's a black screen and not the actual show here. So all right, here we go. So getting in this teaser here, I'm gonna break it down. The very first shot. David Fox, that is absolutely hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. All right, so I'm going to get into the teaser here. I'm going to describe it the best I can. So the very first scene we see here what appears to be someone holding photos of Jimmy and Kim, which look like undercover photos that his PI took. I'm describing the teaser here right now. So that's the very first shot we get. We see someone looking over the photos that were taken. Again, the next shot we get is of Howard Hamlin saying he wants to put an end to this right now, is what he says. Might be able to turn on the captions here. Actually, I might be able to do that. Maybe the captions will show up so I can read this. Again, the captions aren't showing up, so never mind. But yeah, we see a scene of Howard Hamlin here wearing that very blue shirt that was displayed to us in a teaser image prior to this season, where he says he wants to put an end to this all right now. It says here only one episode until the mid-season finale. We see what appears to be Kim here in court. There's a shot of her in court here. Again, there's no dialogue. I can't really see who she's with or what judge she's with here either. It's kind of a far away shot, but it's definitely I can recognize that ponytail from a mile away. She appears to be at the Bernalillo County Courthouse here. We also see a shot of Clifford Maine here at this. She may be doing some pro bono work here for sure. Clifford Maine in the background as well. And very interestingly, we see a shot here of a what do you call it? What do you call that thing you hang from your car rear view mirror? It's almost like, is it like a car ornament? We see an ornament here that's teased to us that says Albuquerque Isotopes. It's the exact same ornament that the cab driver Jeff had in the cold opening scene of season four, right? Was it four or five? Four of Breaking Bad, who was driving the cab driver. We see a shot here of, I believe, Kim holding this Albuquerque Isotopes uh ornament, the exact same ornament I believe that the cab driver Jeff had. It's not an air freshener. It looked more like an ornament. It might have been an air freshener, but it was. If you go back and look at that Albuquerque Isotopes, air whatever it is, rear view mirror car ornament. He's definitely holding this. So you do wonder, is Kim gonna represent him somehow? Is that what's happening here? Is Kim gonna represent her? Again, I'm getting really sort of, in the speculative weeds here, but a very cool shot here. I wish I could show it, but again, someone will probably post this. Will post this later. So, and yeah, we see again a quick shot of Kim talking with Clifford Maine. We see a shot here of the board here for. I saw the rearview mirror ornament. Yeah, Laura Fulmer on television. Yeah, that was there for sure. We see a shot here of the board behind the painting of Kim and Jimmy's plan against Howard Hamlin. Again, I'm not sure about the dialogue here because I can't play it. And also, a really great shot here is we see a shot finally of the veterinarian Caldera come into the fold. So again, not to get ahead of myself here, but I believe in the next episode, Axe and Grind, I believe the subtext of the episode said something along the lines of Jimmy and Kim enlist a helpful contact. So again, don't go to the betting window with my predictions here, but fingers crossed that this new contact that they're going to enlist is going to be Patrick Kuby. So I really hope this is the case. So we see a shot here of the vet Caldera in this teaser checking out Jimmy, and he's also taking a look at his face after his face wound after he was punched in the face by Howard Hamlin. We see, and he's there with Kim Wexler too for the first time ever. So yeah, the vet is back, John Ula Jr. So we see a shot of the vet looking over Jimmy, likely going over his wounds here, I guess not wanting to go to a traditional doctor. Maybe he could go to a traditional doctor, but they also say they enlist a new contact in the next episode. So I really hope, for goodness sake, we didn't get Walt and Jesse in this last episode, but can we please get Bill Burr, a.k.a. Patrick Kuby, to appear in the next episode? I mean, that would be, smack Kerr. I hope it's Kuby, but I'll settle for Og. Yeah, again, I think it said new contact, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but I think it said new contact. So that's why, again, my predictions have been, pretty not so great. I mean, the chat here doing these live streams is what put the thought of the Lalo going to Germany in my head. So I really appreciate that from the chat. Again, I saw a lot of people speculate that theory, but I believe it was a new contact for sure. So yeah, Jade China, I don't know the grander symbolism behind the ruler, but I definitely think it's more of a sort of foreshadowing of Lalo maybe going after Werner's men here as the next lead, because the case has kind of run cold in respect to Werner's wife not really knowing anything about what Werner was doing. So yeah, Joe DeRosa, I believe, is that the actor who plays Caldera, Sleek Beak, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we see a shot here of the vet Caldera with Jimmy and Kim, apparently going to find that new contact. Following this, we see a shot, again, I'm not really sure where Maximum Rock and Roll. The vet always seemed to me like the genesis of the guy who knows the guy line from Saul. Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that's absolutely true. I know a guy who knows another guy for sure. Again, I always thought it was actually kind of interesting going back to season 4 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Talk. I remember that scene when the vet saves Nacho Varga after he was sort of used as a pawn in Gus Fring's chess game against the cartel. And I was sort of worried. I'm like, are the cousins going to kill him after he saved Nacho? But I said to myself, no way. I mean, he's such an important vessel by which Saul could, meet people in the Albuquerque criminal underworld. So he definitely doesn't seem like someone who would have been killed right there in season 4. So that kind of assuaged my fears. But yeah, definitely the genesis of that for sure. And it's so cool how, Caldera was the person who got Mike started in the Albuquerque criminal underworld for sure. When he got into that cab after he visited his daughter-in-law and told, again, I'm blanking on the cab driver's name, but he said, how well do you know this town? And then, of course, he needed someone to deal with his bullet wound. He couldn't go to a hospital for that because all gunshot wounds, I believe, have to be submitted to the police, I'm not mistaken. So yeah, the Caldera is just an unbelievable sort of literary vessel by which this plot has been driven forward. I agree completely, and he's really been one of my favorite characters in the series, and I really appreciate the support, Maximum Rock and Roll, I really do. But yeah, getting back into this teaser again, a lot of scenes here in this teaser. There were quite a lot of scenes here. But yeah, so we see a shot here of Jimmy. Again, I'm not sure where he is here. That's the thing. It's very grainy. Again, the location is completely unknown. He's looking at something here. He's dressed very well. I have no idea where he is in this teaser, but again, that's the next scene that's revealed here. Again, not sure if there's dialogue. The next scene here, we see someone ashing a cigarette with a very old hand. It has tattoos on it. Again, I'm not sure what's going on here. Someone with tattoos, again, very tattoos on his hand. He's like has letters tattooed on his knuckles. He's ashing a cigarette. We can't see his face. There's someone in the background sleeping again. Very subtle here on intentionally, likely not trying to give away a lot of information. We see a shot here of Francesca in a very nice location. I think she's actually wearing something she wore in the plot of Breaking Bad, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, I love that setup there in this episode, and I really love the fact that Francesca was bribed here in this episode, and it really foreshadows where her character goes over the course of Breaking Bad. I mean, that scene when she extorts Walter White for that $20,000 for a plate of glass, and it takes Walter White a while to realize that he's being blackmailed. Like, are you insane? Who's gonna charge $20,000 for a plate of glass? Like, there's no reputable vendor. And then he comes, I mean, and then she says, now I'm thinking 25. Again, Francesca's character, absolutely unbelievable. Again, that transition from this absolute just down to earth, such nice person she was in Better Call Saul to this sort of completely cynical, gruff, and even criminal to an extent. I mean, she's the one who places that fake phone call to Hank Schrader when Walt and Jesse are cornered, when Hank traces the RV to Joe's junkyard, and he has to get Hank to leave the scene by telling him that his wife was in a car accident, and of course Francesca's the one who places that call there. So really, sort of, she really has to go into the sort of criminal underworld here when she partners with Saul Goodman, and you do wonder if she really realizes the extent of what she's doing when she agreed to take this job here. And there's a scene of her here in this teaser. So again, it's really great to see Francesca back in the story, and she didn't appear in season 5. She was only in one episode in season 4, the flash forward to the Breaking Bad timeline, in the episode entitled Quite a Ride. But these remaining 8 episodes, you definitely imagine she's going to be a very key part of the story for sure, being Saul Goodman's first and only secretary apparently over the course of the history of the law offices of Saul Goodman and Associates. So yeah, shot here, Francesca. Another shot here of Saul and Francesca. They're behind his office again. They are behind the office. I'm not. He says something here. I can't see the dialogue. He has a burner phone. Apparently, I think Francesca's supposed to make a phone call of some kind, and Saul tells her to smile and sort of be very jovial. I think again, definitely a callback to when she had to make phone calls for him when she worked for him in season 3 of Better Call Saul, and also very reminiscent of the scene in season 3, if I'm not mistaken, of Breaking Bad, when she has to place that phone call to Hank Schrader and lie to him about his wife Marie being in a car accident. They're definitely behind the law offices of Saul Goodman and Associates. This is definitely where Huel and Saul and Kuby and Walter White met after they picked up his barrel money and put it into the barrels from the storage unit in the episode entitled Buried, I believe. So yeah, definitely a sort of great sort of callback and sort of reference here to the plot of Breaking Bad by this dumpster behind the law offices of Saul Goodman and Associates. He tells her to smile. We see a scene again. There were a lot of scenes here in this teaser. Like I really hope they don't condense it too much in the one they release legitimately on the officially on their Twitter page and on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. But we see a scene here of Mike Ehrman. I wish I could show it, but for copyright purposes I can't. We see a scene here of Mike Ehrmantraut at the industrial laundry with what appears to be Gus Fring. Very short snippet again. He says something to Gus. And of course, the next scene we have here is of Lalo Salamanca. So we see a scene of Lalo Salamanca here. He's definitely holding a pistol of some kind. Again, I'm not sure where he is. Again, they were at the industrial laundry, and again, I can't tell where he is. He looks like he's in front of some sort of storage unit. Maybe there's something with the sort of corrugated steel doors he's in front of right now. So not really sure what's going on. We do get a great shot of a bottle of Zafiro Añejo, a brand new bottle. Not sure about the context of this scene, but we see a shot of that here, of the Zafiro Añejo. We see a shot of Kim Wexler here. That is, Brent, relax and sleep. That is absolutely hilarious. And yeah, JRM8899. Yeah, she isn't that far. I think there's still a little bit of a way to go, but she's not that far. We see a shot of the Severo Añejo, and then I think the very last shot here is we see a scene of someone holding an axe. Again, the face is out of focus. This person might even be wearing a ski mask, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that pretty much sums up the teaser here, if I'm not mistaken. We see a scene here of actually Saul banging his steering wheel, akin to when he did it at the end of season 4 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Winter, after his conversation with Crispy Esposito. Oh my goodness. I think, if I'm not mistaken, wow, this is a big one here. The vacuum card is shown. Yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now. The King 77899. We see what appears to be the book that was displayed to us in the cold opening scene of this teaser here, in this teaser, and we also see what appears to be someone holding up a business card for best quality vacuum repair. So that's a big one here. So again, Max Meals. I don't know. They should post this teaser to YouTube or to Twitter pretty soon. Again, I'm going off the television copy right now. This is actually pretty big information right here, where we can see a copy of the best quality vacuum business card here. Pretty awesome to see. We also see this book here. So like I said, a lot of information revealed here for sure. You do wonder if this sort of contact involving the Ed to Disappear will come into the fold. Maybe the Vet Caldera will be the vessel by which Saul Goodman obtains this contact. Again, I talked about that more in a previous video, where he didn't even know the guy's name when he told Walter White about this contact in the plot of Breaking Bad. Wow, this is a very clear shot of it too, that best quality vacuum. That is not even remotely subtle. So that's really cool right there for sure. Wasn't expecting that at all. We see the Zaviro, we see the axe, we see the best quality vacuum business card. Unbelievable for sure, with a direct reference to Ed the Disappearer. We see a shot of what appears to be Mike looking out of some curtains here. And then the final shot we see is just Jimmy and Kim sitting on the couch. So yeah, that pretty much sums up this episode here. I definitely have to say, I mean, to be completely honest, it was definitely a plot development episode. I wasn't really expecting it. It was definitely not the sort of much more consequential episode that I thought we would see here. I totally fell for the red herring title. And yeah, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of great information revealed here for sure. And it was really great talking about it. So yeah. Beef Testosterone, that's true. The title for the mid-season finale is Plan and Execution for sure. So yeah, the Saphiro was in that teaser as well. Aqua X III, or excuse me, VIII. Man, no wonder I did so bad in math. So yeah, we saw a new bottle of the Saphiro Añejo. So you do wonder what's going on there. You have the air freshener for sure. Charles Woodward that displayed to us the exact same Albuquerque isotopes. Sort of, I guess you'd call it like rear view mirror ornaments or car ornament or something to that effect. So you do wonder, is Kim gonna represent Jeff the cab driver? I mean, totally, total speculation, but who knows? Why is Werner's notebook in Saul's house? Wasn't that his notebook that we... Oh, was that Werner's notebook? I think that was the same notebook that we saw in the cold opening scene of Wine and Roses Triple Path, but I'm not too sure about, whether or not that was Werner's notebook. I'll have to go back and look at that for sure. Laura Fulmer, that's a great point about the tracker on Jimmy's car. It's definitely possible. We did see those scenes of the images likely of taken by his PI in the teaser for the next episode. So definitely some, plot development that's going to happen there for sure. But yeah, you do wonder about the tracker. So I don't think that was the same notebook. Chef Big Hat, are you talking about the notebook that we saw in the cold opening scene of Wine and Roses? Is that what you're saying? That notebook? Yeah, JRM8899 for sure. The execution is quite a loaded word, and with a lot of meanings for sure, with the title being Plan and Execution. So do you think Kai will come back? Assad? I think so. I think so for sure. It wasn't the same notebook, Chef Big Hat. Okay, I'll take a look at it for sure. I didn't look at it too closely, but I just took one glance at the teaser, but I'll definitely have to take a look. So And yeah, I do think Kyle will come back. I talked about that more earlier in this review. Assad, I definitely think that seems like the most logical next continuation of Lalo's sort of plan of finding the information of the quote unquote proof against Gus Ring that he talked about with Hector Salamanca. Happy to see Lalo X8 abode. Yeah, I agree. I definitely great to see him for a second there. I mean, before they sort of gave it away in the sort of image they tweeted prior to this episode, but I guess if you weren't expecting him to come back at the very end of this episode, you really sort of thought to yourself, is it really going to be 4 episodes in a row with no Lalo Salamanca, Jose Espinoza? Yeah, I really don't. I still have mixed feelings about that boxing match. I don't really know. I don't really know if I have an opinion about it right now, and I'll definitely have to sort of take some time to formulate a opinion about it for sure. Like I said, you could have told me, you could have given me a thousand guesses of storylines that would have ensued over the course of this final season. And boxing match between Jimmy McGill, aka Saul Goodman, and Howard Hamlin, that wouldn't have cracked the top 1,000 for sure. Yeah, John Ulit Jr., that's a great point. Again, a lot of just information not revealed to us, like how in the world was Lalo able to get to Germany with his seemingly lack of documentation? How was he able to get all those nice clothes? How was he able to, he seems like well rested and showered and, very well kempt. How was he able to do all these things? So a lot of questions here for sure that I don't know if that will ever be answered. Just like we'll never know, well, at least we don't know to this time the step-by-step process by which Walt poisoned Brock, and we don't know, how exactly he was able to get back to New Mexico from New Hampshire. How was he able to get in contact with Skinny Pete and Badger? I mean, a lot of questions here that just aren't answered. So Chef Big Hat, I tend to agree. It definitely did seem kind of gimmick. You would hope it would come out to be much more consequential than we're all thinking. So yeah, maybe fake passport. Yeah, I would imagine so. I did hear a great theory where he maybe used the sort of what was his name? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name. Mateo's sort of information to maybe travel because they looked exactly alike. So definitely possible. So they both couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. I mean, I bet the actors aren't the greatest athletes for sure, but I don't know. I mean, Jimmy is definitely not well versed in that arena for sure, no pun intended, but maybe Howard actually took boxing lessons and, worked out in that manner. He definitely seems like someone who would actually take boxing lessons and, work out in that manner, relax and sleep. So, but yeah, definitely, I really don't know what to think about that scene for sure. So, beef testosterone. I talked about that earlier. Again, I don't know the meaning behind the gun in the lab. I don't know if that's just a stash gun that he's going to leave there if push comes to shove, or if he left the gun there because he finally sort of let the fear sort of roll off of him of this constant fear he was clearly living with in respect to in respect to Lalo Salamanca being out there and just the lack of control that Gus Fring had. So it's funny, sort of reminding back to a Walton Jesse's fights. Yeah, they definitely did have some physical confrontations. Definitely Laura Fulmer for sure in the plot of Breaking Bad. So yeah, also very interesting to see Kim Wexler's sort of reaction to that fight, where she really didn't wasn't taken aback by it, wasn't taken aback. Well, I can't even think of the expression right now, but she wasn't affected by it at all. She wasn't taken aback by that fight at all. It just sort of was nothing to her. She almost made a joke about it, how you could have turned it into an advertisement for I'm Saul Goodman, I fight for you. So really seeing Kim Wexler embrace that persona for sure, and yeah, that Saul Goodman sort of persona, and really just being focused on the mission here. And if Saul had to take a beating as part of this, so be it. So, but you do wonder in the grand scheme of things if Howard is going to turn the tables on Jimmy and Kim for sure. Did you get a preview for episode 6? I did Triple Path. I just talked about it in this review. So the television copy did show us a very interesting teaser for sure. So that's right, Sad Assad. Like, there was that commercial where Saul says, and that's why I fight for you, Albuquerque, I believe. Right? Didn't he definitely say that in the plot of Breaking Bad? So he did sort of turn it into a commercial. You're absolutely right. That is funny. That is a definite, seems like a callback to that for sure. So You'd think so, Chef Big Hat, but at this moment she definitely doesn't. So that's true. Smack her. Maybe again, we don't know. Maybe it's all part of the plan for Howard to sort of realize it. Again, we don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know, and we're trying to connect the dots here. So again, a lot of setup here, a lot that wasn't outwardly revealed to us. The plot didn't progress as much as I thought it would this episode for sure, but still some pretty great scenes here in this episode. Yeah, Max meals. Yeah, I definitely don't think we'll get a step-by-step walk back for sure. So, I think, like I said, a lot of things will just be left open-ended and up to interpretation and speculation. But just the nature of there's only 8 episodes left, and there's just not enough time on screen to show us all these little details. Like I said, they'll never seemingly show us how Lalo was able to the step-by-step process which he was able to fake his own death, like how he exactly got that body back to his hacienda and things of that nature. So. Sada Sada, I'll definitely have to go and look at that for sure. I'll definitely have to go back and look at those Saul Goodman commercials for sure. So relax and sleep. I'm as well a little bit. She's still holding it in. She's letting Saul be blissfully ignorant. You do wonder what his reaction would be if he found out. He would probably be pretty damn upset for sure. And yeah, she's still keeping it close to the vest though. So Cat A, I just talked about that in my review. Yep, that the air freshener definitely seems like Jeff, the cab driver, may be involved. I talked about that when I discussed the teaser at the end of this episode. Yeah, she does like to use post-it notes. The one she was cold calling to, I remember in season 2 of Better Call Saul, JRM 8899. She does love those post-it notes. I do remember her putting them up at HHM when she was cold calling, when she was trying to get Mace Verde as a client to sort of get out of the doghouse with the whole plot that ensued when she was sent to doc review in the basement. When with the whole storyline involving her sort of keeping Howard in the dark about that commercial that Jimmy ran without the consent of Davis and Maine. Salvatore, man. That is too funny. But anyway, on that note, yeah, I am gonna have to end it here. It is getting kind of late. I got a long day tomorrow with things to do in real life. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight to this live stream. I really appreciate the super chats and all the support. Again, really wasn't expecting that. I really do appreciate it. I wish I could. Again, I can't exemplify how much I appreciate that, but I really appreciate all the support tonight. Really appreciate all the chat here. I definitely learned a lot. I'll definitely be planning on talking about this episode in the week to come. We'll be making some videos and probably doing some more live streams as well, heading into the next episode. But yeah, let's see. Jose Lyle was the highlight of the episode. That is too funny. Yeah, for sure. Funny he didn't. That is too funny, man. I'll leave it at that. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Really appreciate it, guys. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I'll be back to talk about this show more over the course of this week. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I really hope you have a great rest of your night. So have a good one, guys, and I'll see you guys around.